Oh, Tekker's gone. Joe and Andrade. What a goal.
And again, Gabby Fernando on the 6-yard line. 99th minute. 9 minutes of injury time, and Gabby has won it for Stretford Paddock.
Shot a goal. Oh! Wow!
And that is that. Stretford Paddock, first piece of silverware, Tony Downs Memorial Trophy.
Hello and welcome to the Stretford Paddock Fans Podcast. My name is Chris and a very happy new year to everyone listening. Thanks for joining us as we head into 2026. Now, it feels like there's a very different atmosphere around Paddock compared to the last time we caught up, because since then we've seen some improved performances on the pitch, despite the momentum being interrupted by absolutely weeks without games thanks to the Manchester weather. But in this episode, we're going to talk through our last two matches, starting with the cup game against Billinge, which was our final game of 2025, before bringing everybody right up to date with the last weekend's home game against Egerton. So, joining me this week to talk all things Paddock, I'm joined once again by Stu. All right, Stu.
Hello, Chris. Nice to see you, pal. At the Paddock, everyone. Happy New Year.
And making his podcast debut, we've got a first-timer, a fresh voice, and someone who we've been meaning to get on here for a long, long time. We've got Lewis. Welcome, Lewis.
All right, lads. Happy New Year.
Right, Lewis, we're going to start with a very, very quick intro for anybody who doesn't know you or your role at Paddock. But what do you do for the club, and what does that look like day to day and also on match days?
So I'm the head of media and for the entire club across the board. And most people probably don't even know who I am, because if I'm doing my job right, you won't see me. You'll just see what I do. Day to day is pretty pragmatic. It's pretty all over the place. It can be anything from graphics for our under-13s, graphics for our first team, graphics for the women, reels, edits, email support, customer service. You know, if you've ever had issues with getting your kit and you've emailed us, that's probably been me. Yeah, just a variety of different things. It's pretty different. It's pretty good variety of different things that we have to do.
Make a mean podcast intro as well, Lewis.
Yeah. I heard. Gosh, when did you first contact me about doing that? Feels like ages ago now. Was it last summer?
How long have we been doing this, Stu? A year?
April, maybe, last year. Must be.
Yeah, less than a year. Wow.
Yeah, that's what I mean about the job being a wide variety of different things. You know, it's anything from helping you guys get that podcast intro or the thumbnail that you've got, or I don't know, Steve's got a request for some sort of reel, or it's clipping up a goal, or you know, need something for the live stream at the weekend, or High Spec needs something, or we need photos taken of the new kit or the logos on the sort of the sleeve or the front of the shirt or anything. Honestly, I've done it all whilst I've been here. So, and then on match day, it's get the veil down there, get the camera down there, get everything set up. If there's any news I need to pass on to Liam or a journalist, because we do match reports as well, get that passed on. Brief Saul on anything that we need. Saul's been on here before. Most people know Saul. He does our socials on a match day. And then we have a sort of an internship program where we bring people on to try and teach them media, really. So I sort of frontline that as best I can and help guide people along, because I try my best to put everything into that internship, because we can touch on that if you're interested. But that's how I got started at the club. So that's actually how I got started in my career in general, because outside of, not only do I do this for Paddock, but I operate my own media business as well. So busy would be the key word for the both jobs.
And do you do the team sheet graphics on match days as well?
I do. Yeah, I do that the night before. It used to be the morning before, but then it got to the point where it'd always be wrong because something had changed. So I try and do it as late as I can on a Friday.
I was about to say, when you see KO'd in the lineup, do you hold back on making the graphic? Because you know
what? There's been a few times this season where I've been like, do I make two of these graphics? One with and one without.
So that means you know the team the day before then. That's quite handy. If there's any leaks to the...
I know the team the talks of the team in the build-up, because that's the other thing. In case people don't know, a lot of people probably know Claire. Claire runs this ship. That's my mum, so I get all the gossip.
Lewis, you mentioned the internship. What advice would you be giving to people who want to get into that sort of media and journalistic side of things that you do at the club? I know, being in education myself, I see an incredible rise in young people, young adults wanting to go into this side of things. So what sort of advice would you give them if they're wanting to get into it?
Yeah, I actually get that question a lot from different people that I talk to. I try my best to sort of, give back to people that have been in my situation when I first started off. I was clueless, and I'll say the same thing I've said all the way throughout: is just get your hands dirty, get in the mixer, get down into things. If you want to be a photographer, then start taking pictures on your phone, then build your way up and save up for your first camera. Get out there, go take pictures. If you want to do sports, get down to some games. If you want to do portrait stuff, go and take pictures of your mates. You want to do video, start filming. Just get in the mixer, get stuck in, and just do it and be brave. Step out there.
How did you first get involved with the club then, Lewis?
I've been involved now with the club since 2021. I actually started as a non-media type thing. So I was in university at the time, and I was in university in Liverpool, and I'd come home every now and then. And going to Paddock games was something that me and my mum did, just because we couldn't afford to go to United games, and both me and my mum love football. So let's go to Paddock, because we both watch the fan channel, and then we both watch Paddock on YouTube. We're like, let's just go to games, and it just sort of kept going. And then the opportunity came up. I think Steve put something on his story, like he wanted someone to help analyze games. And it wasn't like coaching analysis. It was just like basic stat stuff. It was like what the Veo now can do for us with AI. And it was something I could do from uni remotely. So I was like, I'm going to do that. And I did that for the 21-22 season. And then I graduated uni and came home in 22. And I was working at Talk Media at the time as a media planner. It wasn't hands-on. It was all like paperwork media, like spreadsheets and stuff. And the internship popped up of like, 3-month internship, filming Paddock games and whatnot. And I was like, I remember it was Sophie at the time who sort of was working for Steve. I contacted her and I was like, look, I work Monday to Friday at Talk, but could I come to games on a Saturday and do training on Tuesday? I don't have that much camera knowledge, but I'm just dead eager to get in the mixer. And she was like, yeah. So started going down to games, and then that went on as it got to the point where I was enjoying it so much more, which kind of comes back to Stu's question, is be brave and just get in the mixer. Is I left Talk, which was a paid job, and was like, you know what, I'm just going to throw everything at this, and I'm just going to do Paddock full time, unpaid, just go for it. And I was doing 6 days a week, just working for the club, doing everything, going to every training session, going into the studio, learning how to edit, learning how the cameras worked, helping with Steve's channel a little bit as well. Just do everything. And then that went on for a while, and then Steve noticed, and hats off to Steve. He was like, I think I was in the office one day and he just pointed at me, snapped his finger, and was like, if I pay you 1 day a week, will you come in? I was like, yeah. And I started editing the highlights for the 22-23 season. And then the rest is history, really. It just kept evolving from there. I think the sad part is about how it is now is, I have less time now than I did then. But you know what I mean? So the product doesn't reflect how it used to be, because I used to have so much more time to throw at this. Whereas now, I've set up my own business, so that takes up a lot more time because that makes money. So I don't have as much free time to throw at Paddock, which sucks, but that's just the nature of it. But it essentially just evolved from there, and it just kept going and going and going.
You mentioned Lewis. Steve clicked his fingers at you once and said, "Oh, how do you fancy a day's paid a week?" And ever since then, I'm sure the idea machine just keeps on churning out and throwing things your way to get involved with. But can you tell us anything you're up to at the moment that we've not yet seen? Are you working on any sort of projects behind the scenes at the moment that you think we should be looking forward to?
At the moment, I'm in the process of trying to sort out what we can do better. And this is sort of a question that goes out to the fans, is I'm aware that the product of the media, especially YouTube, is nowhere near what it used to be. Mostly because I just don't have the time anymore to sort of be everywhere and film everything the way I used to. And the media team's gotten smaller because we're all volunteers pretty much to an extent. It's one of them trying to work out where we can balance the assets that we have for the content that we want. Like, we've had ideas this season about telling our story through promotion and doing a documentary, but it's getting boots on the ground. And then not only that, you got to remember, we're filming amateur footballers. They work a job, you know what I mean? They work a 9 to 5, they're in the office, their own job. So it's getting the time around them as well. It's one of the reasons why we do the members only podcast has been quite difficult, because booking a studio slot around people that work normal jobs, it's actually very hard. So yeah, it's more about, I'd say, what can we do that people want to see? And I know people want more behind the scenes, but it's getting there. And also the sort of privacy aspect of that. Because I used to really like filming team talks, but the players don't, because it gives away tactics. So then it's the balance of that, you know what I mean?
Well, I've got one last question for you then, Lewis, then we'll get into the football side. But obviously you touched on Saul, part of your team, and he's been on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, and he went down a storm. So I just wondered, if on a scale of 1 to 10, how fuming were you that we invited Saul on here before you?
Scale of 1 to 10, 20. No, jokes aside, I was happy. It's one of them. It didn't bother me at all. And Sol's a lot more out there and very good. One thing Sol's really good for, and I wish I was better at it, is sort of promoting himself as a brand. Sol's a good example of, what I was saying before, your question, Stu, about, advice for someone that wants to get in this industry. Is, I remember a few years ago, Sol was still in uni, and I said to him, "Oh, you should learn to edit, mate, or you should learn to get behind the camera more." He's like, "No, I don't want to do it. I'm not bothered. And then he left uni and was like, "I don't know what to do." And I was like, "Well, here's my spare camera. We don't have a photographer anymore. He's just left. Take some photos on a match day." And then it went on from there. And now he's doing what I was doing. He's promoting his own business, and he's smashing it. He's absolutely smashing it. And some of the MMA stuff he's doing at the moment is really good.
Yeah.
And that all started just from, here's my camera, go do it. Go just do it. You know what I mean? We've had so many people like that. It's one thing I'm really, really proud of, actually, is since I've been here, is that sort of internship. And not only are we a club that gives young players, a platform to develop, like we've seen with Isaac and what's happened there, is we also give young people an opportunity to get into this industry off the pitch, whether that's media or coaches. I mean, we've had so many people on come through Paddock and go on to work for the likes of the BBC, or it's something I'm quite proud of. And we had an intern about a year ago called Hadia, and she did journalism and editing with me in the studio. I taught her to use Photoshop and different things. She messaged me the other day and she was like, "Do you have Jay Motty's number by any chance? And could you pass me on to him? Because I'm now working for BBC 5 Live and I want to know his opinion on hammering." And I was like, "What?" So like, there you go. There's another one, like another person that's gone right through. And, we give them that sort of platform. So that's something I'm quite proud of.
All right then, lads. Well, let's transition this from action behind the lens to action in front of the lens. Is that even the right phrase, Lewis? But yeah, on the pitch, things have definitely picked up. They definitely don't feel as doom and gloom as they did last time we caught up on this pod. So the performances have clearly improved since the Upton game, even if the results haven't always reflected that yet. So starting with the Billinge game, Stu, what were your thoughts on the performance? What do you think starting to go right for Paddock? And where do we still need to improve as we move into 2026?
What do I think is starting to go right? I think people are starting to come together a bit more. They focusing on their role as a team rather than as individuals. They are showing more fight and determination. And I think there's been a few key people in the team who have started an uptick in performances, and that has a positive effect on the whole team. So when you've got the likes of Joe Coleman banging in a goal, and you've got people weighing in with goals like Joa, Lawrence has been great at left back, in my opinion, as well. So I think with those sorts of individual performances starting to be more positive and those players becoming more confident, I think that only affects the whole team as a whole. But I really like the attitude of the team at the moment. We went down early, didn't we? In the Billinge game straight away, another defensive error, unfortunately. And time and time again have we seen defensive errors be capitalised on by the opponent, and this was no exception. So we went 1-0, down 1-0 early, and they found a way to stay in the game, get back in the game and claw back the goals. And I just wish that we could prevent those defensive mistakes that are costing us time and time again. That's a real Achilles heel of ours.
Yeah, was it the second minute of the game? I think we gave away the penalty, wasn't it? It was Sam Walker. I mean, I was watching it happen, and I think me and maybe the 100 or so people collectively were just going, no, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And then, of course, Sam lunged, he crashed into the back of the guy, he went down, and, Billinge got the penalty, which they absolutely smashed in after 2 minutes, and we were a goal down. But I thought, like you say, we were very resilient. I think we bounced back really well. And that first half against Billinge, we went in 2-1 up, I believe, but it could have easily have been 6, 7, 8. I thought we were really, really good that first half. We were knocking the ball around really well. Second half, not so good. Lewis, is there anything you see pitch side that the fans wouldn't have seen kind of on YouTube or Twitch?
Yeah, I think it sort of echoes back to a little bit of what Stu said, really. It's about attitude and sort of the ability to step up to the plate and come forward. I think it's happened multiple times this season where we've had that. And I think I've been at Paddock a while now, and in seasons gone, I've seen us struggle under that kind of situation. I know it's not the game we're talking about, but a good example would be, I think it was Winsford. We were not 2-0 down and we came back to 2-2. Similar in this game. I think in seasons gone, our heads drop and we don't come back. And I think that sort of tenacity and that grit that we've developed over the course of last season and this season to sort of get games over the line or just get it to full time and get into that shootout. I think in seasons gone, that doesn't happen. And I think off the pitch, the attitude of the club from a player's perspective in training and off the pitch in the last 12 months to a year or year and a half or so has improved so much compared to how it was when I first got here. And I think that shows on the pitch, if you get what I mean.
It makes you wonder why it's just been so bad for the last, 3-4 games, because our last podcast was called What's Going Wrong? Because, the performances against Cheadle Heath, Egerton, Knutsford, Sandbach to an extent, and then also Upton was probably the worst of the bunch. Like, it was really, really poor. And I think we said on the last podcast, like, we're not expecting miracles. We just want, the players to be themselves and put in their best. And I think the Billinge result wasn't exactly what we were looking for. I mean, we went a goal down, we brought it back to 2-1. We should have been out of sight. We ended up scraping through on penalties, but the performance was really good for the first half. And at that point, I thought, you know what? I think we've turned the corner here. There's green shoots of a good performance. But I'm sure Steve would have been absolutely fuming second half because we played like the game was won and then we gave away a silly goal. And then I guess we had that moment at the end where Joa had a penalty to win the game, 97th minute. I was convinced that, thank God for that, we've done it again. We've got away with a 98th minute winner. And then, Joa missed it. And I was so gutted for Joa because I think he's had a bit of a rough season so far, but I thought against Billinge he was really, really good. He was arguably our best player. He scored a really good first goal, which a bit of a gift to be given the ball on the edge of the box. But he still had to finish it. Yeah, I was a bit gutted about that, but thankfully we went into penalties and we had a bit of a touch with Riley in goal.
Well, you mentioned penalties then, Chris. Jesus, did you see the 91st minute, whatever it was, penalty Joa missed in free play before the penalty shootout? On the side of the pitch, Rick Stafford was up with his ball. He's up in the stand saying there was a bloke right next to Joa as he was kicking the ball, as he's taking the penalty. There was a Billinge player stood right next to him running in. And how the referee hadn't seen him, I have absolutely no idea. But no one realised. I don't even think the ref realised, but nobody realised until Rick showed us his phone. And we could not believe that the guy was standing, had run so early and was stood right next to Joa as he struck the penalty. So he'd entered the box. But then obviously the important bit is that Joa's penalty was saved really well, but the follow-up was cleared by that person who had encroached into the penalty box and stood next to Joa as he was taking it. So it should have been really taken again.
Yeah, it's because Joa has that sort of stutter, doesn't he? So this defender for Billing just thought, I'm gonna follow Joa in and time my run perfectly. So Joa's done his stutter, and next thing you know, this defender he was within arm's length of Joa as he struck the ball. Yeah. So yeah, like you say, when the rebound came back to Joa, this defender's right next to him and he cleared it. Thankfully, we got away with it in penalties. I was really, really chuffed to see Riley make that save. I guess Lewis, you were pretty close to it, right? If you were at the game.
I think if you watch the highlights carefully, I think you can hear me go, "Come on, Riley," or "Get in, Riley," or something. But I was well chuffed. I speak to his mum sometimes before a game as well, and she was well nervous going into that one. Bless. But we were all over the moon for him because I think he stepped in at a really difficult time. Everything that happened with Florian, and we needed a keeper, right? And he stepped up. Okay, he's young, but he's done the business. He stepped up, and I know the game prior, who were we against now? His debut game.
Yeah, Upton, wasn't it?
Yeah, Upton, right? Okay. It's a tough game to have as your debut. I don't think it quite reflects his ability as a keeper. I think we were just absolutely off the mark that day. So I was really glad that he got that save in and sort of was able to go, yeah, actually, I can do this. I can play at the men's level. I can hold my own.
I'll tell you one man who was very relieved with that penalty save, and that was Mike Taylor, who very boldly said in the Telegram group he was going to buy everyone a drink if we didn't win the game. And then obviously he was very overconfident against Billinge, who for my money had actually improved quite a bit. And they won at the weekend in the league as well for the first time. So they have improved. But yeah, Mike was a penalty save away from a very expensive round at the bar.
Yeah, you say about Riley. I mean, like you said, can you remember going back a few years ago, we couldn't find a decent goalkeeper.
Yeah.
I don't know what the best phrase is, but we couldn't find a decent goalkeeper. And it wasn't until obviously Martin came in that we finally had somebody who could step up to the mark and had brought a bit of quality. So I've said it several times this season, we can never take good goalkeepers for granted after what we've experienced in previous, those early seasons of Stretford Paddock, until I think the 23-24 season was when Martin came in. But the great thing is that when you've got opportunities, you take them, and Riley has done that. He's going to get the opportunity to not only thrive on fantastic moments like penalty saves in cup games, but also chances to learn from his performances. He made a mistake in the Upton game. He made a mistake in the Billinge game. But that's all the part and parcel of giving these young players the chance to be able to develop and understand the game more in their own personal performances. And I stood next to his mum, and his mum was nervous as hell, like Lewis said. But he held his own, didn't he? He did amazing. He did an amazing job. So there's certainly been so many more positives for Riley to take from his performances so far than there have been negatives. And the young man needs to be proud of himself. And thank you, Riley, if you're listening, for, like Lewis said, stepping up to the mark and helping us in a time of need.
So yeah, thank you, Riley. A very pivotal penalty save that put us into the last 16 of the J.A. Walton Cup. Then we moved back to league action in 2026, where we faced Egerton at home. We lost the game 1-0. our first home league game of 2026, but a massive improvement on the shit show when we played Egerton earlier in the season when we got spanked 5-0. But how did the game go from your perspective?
It's a tricky one to sort of dissect, really, because we got beat, but then it is a drastic improvement. And I did like what I saw, considering how thin the team was and how the squad is, and what we had to do to get the team out. It wasn't one of them defeats where I walk away and go, that was giving me a headache. I don't know what's going on there. It was kind of like, right, okay, well, I guess we move on. Next one, training, focus, feel confident for the next one. I think it's a right step in the right direction, especially after the last few prior. And I think it's a huge improvement from the last time we played and where we got beat 5-0. I thought there were elements and parts of that game where, to be fair, probably the majority of the game where I thought we looked like the better team. We just couldn't quite score. It just wasn't clicking. I know there's the shout for a penalty and whatnot, and I've watched it back. It's still hard to tell, but don't think we played that bad. I really don't. And I don't like saying that after you lose, but I don't. I really don't.
I'd go one better, Lewis. I thought we actually played really well in the first half. I thought that was the best we played in a long time. I think second half, Egerton were the better side. I thought they were really good second half. I thought they kept the ball really well. But first half, we were really good. That's the best I've seen us play in a long time. And I think from a fan perspective, I watch most of the games and I'm thinking, are we winning? I want us to win. But at a part of that game on Saturday, I just thought this is actually a really good game to watch. Like both teams are trying to get the ball down. They're trying to play it around. I think we chasing the ball a lot kind of killed us second half. I think we ran out of steam a little bit. But yeah, I was actually encouraged. And I think if we played the way we played first half for the rest of the season, we could finish this season quite strongly.
Yeah, the lads were saying after the game, like, there's not many teams that we play against that will have that much of the ball. Like, they're a really fun team to watch and they're a really fun team to play against, well, unless they're beating you 5-0. In the sense that they're trying to play football. They're not going to sit back and hoof it. They're not going to try and get something on a set piece. They want to play football. And I think that's why the time they beat us 5-0, it hurt, is because they beat us the way we want to play. So to sort of go against them again at the weekend and play how we played, considering we're missing some players and there's a few injury questions and fitness concerns, and we've not played for so long, I really don't think it was that bad. I really don't.
I put on my social media beforehand, it's time for redemption. And I think the lads did that. I think they went out and made amends for the absolute carnage, which was our away match to Egerton. And they went out there and did themselves proud on Saturday. I went to see Knutsford versus Egerton last week, the weekend before, because our game got called off against Winstanley. And I was watching it and thought, but Knutsford set up exactly the way that I thought that we should have maybe approached the second half against Egerton away. And Knutsford beat Egerton that day. Well, Knutsford seemed to, not that I'm a tactician, but it looked like they seemed to set up to be able to frustrate the possession that the Egerton had and then capitalise on the mistakes and the turnovers. And they did it extremely well. They managed their kind of energy output and their work rate, and they worked really efficiently to make sure that they weren't just chasing the ball aimlessly. And whenever they pressed with the trigger, they did it together, or they dropped back to make sure that everything was congested and they couldn't be played through very easily. But by Egerton, because we know that Egerton can play the ball really well. But in our own performances, I thought that at the weekend against Egerton, we played really well. I thought we had so much more discipline, so much more control of what we was doing, more focus in game. And obviously that led to an opening couple of crossbar hits. And we nearly could have been 1 or 2-0 up in the opening minutes. I think Joe had most of the standout chances we had. I think he hit both bars, and he had at the end of the match he had some pretty good space to be able to get a clean strike off against the keeper, but he smashed it straight at him, unfortunately. But I think the drop-in of the two centre-halves, unfortunately, I know Mike Olatunji had a bit of a niggle. The physio said he had a grade 1 sprain, so that was maybe taken out of Steve's hands anyway. But I think that with what we've just been saying about previous matches this season where we've had too many goals being shipped by defensive errors, I think that the change in defence helped a heck of a lot. The Egerton manager did say at the end of the match when I was speaking to him about how our number 4, he didn't play there last time. He did really well, He had nothing but positive praise for Stretford Paddock and how we approach the game and as a club, how we operate.
Sorry, Stu, who was our number 4 that day? Was it KO?
Was it KO? Zach Bell, sorry. Yeah, Zach. I've said it time and time again, you see Zach moving out of positions, but he never moans, does he? Whether he's needed a left back, I think I've seen him play left back.
No, he's never looked out of place, really. I think, what has he played? Fullback? I think I've seen him play fullback. I've seen him play centre half, and I think one time in the wing, kind of. And he plays midfield, doesn't he? So, yeah, he's played across different positions, especially this season. I don't think any time he's ever looked out of place. He's done what's needed to be done.
2 seasons ago, Zach was my player of the season because I think before we had live VO and everything, there's certain things you can't see that players offer you. And Zach was my player of the match because there's so much more that he does on the pitch, off the pitch, off the ball, as well as on the ball. Does all the grind, all of the dog work in midfield. And like this here, this is why he gets People's Player of the Season, because he doesn't moan. He does exactly what he's asked to do. He'll give it everything. I have a lot of time for Zach in our team.
I want to say this and not be controversial about it, but I think Egerton were lucky to win the game. And I don't want to, that's not a slight on Egerton. I think they played really well. In the second half, they were really, really good. I was really impressed. But actually, that penalty on Cam, for me, it more is than it isn't. And I think Joe hit the bar twice in the first 5 minutes, and he also had the best chance of the game in injury time. So Egerton to come away from that game, if they'd have drawn that game, they couldn't really have had a complaint. And I don't think Paddock deserved to win it either. I think we played well first half, but second half we were the weaker side. That game was really, really even and could have gone either way. And for Egerton to have come away with the win, they'll take that all day long. And I think that could be a big 3 points for them end of the season.
I'm going to turn to Liam Shasby here and just say, well, don't we just wish we had a striker?
He's right, isn't he? Now, obviously he upset Sam when he said it back in the day, but, we've now got no Damani and no Sam. And, we all love Cam and we think he's great in an advanced position, but yeah, he's also not a 9. I thought he had a good game again, Cam, but yeah, if we had a recognised forward on the pitch, who knows what could have happened.
We've had a lot of injury setbacks and fitness setbacks this season, though. I was talking to someone about it a few weeks ago. That was Danny Coogan against Wythenshawe. That was pretty bad. Damani injured twice. So I remember that I can't remember, was it Knutsford? He was sort of in the squad, and everyone's like, "Yeah, I'm going to come back to training." And then in the group chat the next night, he's broke his arm. It's great. I think, the likes of Michael and Sam playing through injury at times as well. It's never a good sign. Before the game at the weekend in the warm-up, I was walking through after setting the VO up, and Michael comes up to me and he's like, "Have you got any ibuprofen, or has your mum got any ibuprofen?" My uncle, it's doing me. And I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. Not what you want to be hearing before a game, but it kind of just sums it up. That's what we've had to do this season. It's frustrating, but it happens to every team, doesn't it?
It does. And we've got to show our appreciation for these players when they are playing through injuries. I know Zach's been playing probably on injuries for the last 2 seasons. Ronnie came back at the weekend and was nowhere near 100% fit. Didn't he play 90 minutes?
I think he did.
I'm almost sure he played 90 minutes, but regardless, he played the vast majority of the match. So we've got these players who are playing through injuries, playing through illnesses, and for the sake of the badge, and can't help but honour that and be appreciative of that every single time, because these lads they're not paid professionals, but they do it for the love of the club, and we love them for that.
Could the answer to our no number 9 problem be the epitome of playing through an injury in Leland? I mean, he's
Also,
famously always injured, but also famously plays like 4 games a weekend.
he had surgery just before Christmas.
Oh, really? What did he do?
Yeah, I'm not fully aware. It was after the Billinge game. I think our under 17s had a cup game. I went down to film that, and he was there, just sort of to support the lads. He's like, "Oh yeah, I've got surgery next week." So yeah, I hope he's
Season
recovering
done.
well. I've not seen him since, but yeah, he did have surgery.
Is that his season done?
It's not his season done. Sunday night, he's in my DMs. He's told me, let me quote him. Let me quote him.
No way.
He said, I'm back now, just got to wear the headgear. And I've said to him, fucking embrace it. Get over here. Get up front as a striker or on the bench. Come on, with your headgear on. No one will give a shit if you're scoring a goal or two. So, yeah, Leland, if you're listening, get yourself down to the ground. We will support you regardless of headgear or not.
Scored twice this season, hasn't he? Coming off the bench.
Yeah, the Cheadle, one of them.
Yeah,
Cheadle was there.
Cheadle away, Wythenshawe away.
That's it.
He's never let us down, has he, Leland? I like him. I think he should get a chance. Stu, were you impressed enough by Egerton for you to consider them promotion candidates?
Oh, 100%. You know, speaking to the manager, I think I've said this numerous times on pods. If it wasn't for the start of their season, you'd almost say that they're up there, you know, in the running with your Daytons and Winsfords and Knutsford. The problem is at the beginning of their season. You know, if they drop too many points now, they're really out of it. So the manager just said to me that they've got to try and get as many points as they can. They're probably going to finish 2 months earlier than everybody else at this rate. And then they're going to sit back and watch everybody else, you know, scrabble around for points, trying to catch them up. So I think if I'm saying that they're on thin ice with it, so are we, obviously. And if they don't make it into the Premier Division this season, they've got to be one of the firm favourites next season with the way they've been kicking on throughout, you know, consistently this season, ever since that poor start.
Yeah, for me, the parallels between Egerton and Paddock, I know they're above us in the table, played a lot more games as well, but you know, they're a good side. They've got good technical players. They play football the right way. But for me, Egerton probably dropped too many points at the beginning of the season where they shouldn't have. And I think we've perhaps dropped too many in the middle of the season when we shouldn't have. But it's a funny old league and teams are beating each other all over the place. So, yeah, I figure Egerton are going to be in a good position, but they're going to be praying for good results kind of when the sun comes out later in the year.
Here's a fact for you. If we're 6 games behind Egerton, and if we won every single one of them, we'd be 2 points above them with 50 points.
You can't look at games in Anders points one.
It's not logic you want to use it, but
I just want to win. I just want to win 1 league game, Stu, let alone 6 in a row. When was the last time we won a league game?
returning to United.
That's it. If we win 5 games in a row, Lewis, you can cut your hair. Looking ahead, guys, it doesn't get any easier because we've now got a tough home game against promotion chasing Winsford, who have had they've had a very strong start to the season, admittedly with a very generous fixture list. They've had a bit of a wobble recently with being knocked out of the cup by Wythenshawe, and they got beaten by Sandbach, conceded 6 against Sandbach. But they've really bounced back in 2026 with a really impressive 4-0 away win at St Helens at the weekend. So they're joining us in good form. We always have a good game against Winsford. Lewis, what are your expectations and hopes for the next game?
It's tricky because, you know, you go from playing Egerton and now you're against Winsford, another really good side. It's a whole different thing. It's a whole different field. Correct me, these guys have an ex-pro, no? Is it Danny Fox?
Yeah,
and he was pretty good last time we played him. I'm hoping that sort of the team that we have is a little bit less thin, especially the bench going into it. I've got no juicy gossip on that, I'm afraid. And we just give him a game. I just want to see us give him a game. Because I think when we last played him, we started really poor. I think if we just get that strong start going, come out the gate, go for it, and sort of play more how we did in the second half against them last time. See what we can do. You know what I mean?
Winsford they're high up on the form table, of course. Like you say, they've had a generous fixture list. I don't think I think maybe played 3 of their promotion rivals this season, like 3 matches against promotion rivals this season. So they've got a hell of a run to go, same as some of the other people up and around the promotion zone. But taking that into account, they've just gone to very in form, won 10 in a row, St. Helens, and smashed them 4-0 at St. Helens Place. So clearly they can talk the talk, they can walk the walk. And every time we play Winsford, it's entertaining, isn't it? As we're both going at it. We love playing against each other, 2 very different styles. And I expect the same again against Winsford this weekend. I'm really looking forward to it. Like Clay Brow, I always look forward to these Winsfords and Clay Brow games. They've always got electric. There's always good football on show. And of course, they've got one of the top scorers in the league as well. His name's Thomas Stanton, one of the best strikers I've seen this season. Obviously, we've talked about strikers today, and me and people on the sideline at the matches always talk about, you know what, we could do with an extra striker with the injury list we've got. And I always harp on and go back to this lad who played for Winsford, one of the best strikers I've seen in the last couple of seasons. Same with Johnny McDonough over at Haydock. But this lad Thomas, the way he moves off the last man, running in behind the high line, we've got to be really careful with it. We got caught so many times, and yes, they got caught offside so many times as well. But it only takes those 1 or 2 chances, and he took that first one against them last time and lobbed Florin from about 25 yards out. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him play again. But we also know that their number 10 on the right-hand side was good as well. So we can learn our lessons, and hopefully we're in for a treat.
So from what I remember about them, they tend to play quite long diagonal balls into the channels, and they run in behind the fullbacks. And as we've learned, many occasions in the Cheshire League this year, you can't rely on a linesman's flag going up. And even if it does go up, you can't rely on the referee agreeing with it. So we're not going to get bailed out by offside calls every time. So the fullbacks just need to think twice before they bomb forward.
It's always an entertaining game against Winsford. That's the one thing. I think normally when we're going into a weekend where we're not in great form playing a team like this, I get a bit nervy, but at the same time, we always usually give them a game. One of my favourite games I've ever filmed for us is Winsford away, not last season, the season before, back when Oatsy was still here. And I remember going into that game, Oatsy turned up and he was really hungover. And we were all like, oh, fuck, oh no. And I think Oatsy had the game of his life. He had the absolute game of his life. And it snowed at half time, and they nearly called the game off, and they brought the mops out to get the snow off. And I think, was it Ryan, or did Ryan assist Josh, or Josh assisted Ryan to get the winner there in that one?
It was Josh and Barla, wasn't it? Josh on his debut, right wing.
Yeah, because I actually interviewed him that week in training about, what do you want to do and what are you aiming to do? And he's like, I just want to get in the mixer and get a goal or assist or something. And then at the weekend, he goes and does it.
That was the game where Mason saved the penalty, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had a bit of everything, that game. It was a really good game, off the top of my head.
I remember the players all came off for like 15 minutes, didn't they? We thought the game was going to be abandoned.
I was freezing. That's probably the second coldest I've ever been filming Paddock.
Well, if ever there was a game for Paddock to turn their season around, it would be Winsford at home. Hopefully we can give them a good game. Hopefully we can build on encouraging performances, which we saw certainly for the first half against Billinge and the first half against Egerton. But yeah, certainly a win will put our season back on track.
Who's going to be our standout player? Who could make the difference in this match for us?
I think if we have a number 9, that will make a big difference. But for me, it's the most important role is the fullbacks at the weekend, because assuming Winsford play the same way they've always played against us, where they're pinging those balls into the, over the heads of our fullbacks, then they just need to be aware, because that's where they receive the long balls. That's where they'll try and cause a threat. like you said last time, we got caught out so many times where we got bailed out by the offside decision. But yeah, our fullbacks can't be bombing forward recklessly because they're one long ball away from being ripped open. I feel like you asked me that because you want to give an answer, Stu. So I'll throw that back at you as well.
I absolutely didn't have I absolutely didn't have any thoughts on it, to be honest. Do I have any thoughts on it? No, just build on those encouraging performances. I think I share the same thought as you. Build on the encouraging recent performances, and it'll just keep building for the second half of the season. That's really important for us.
Styles aside, like they've got quality players and they're always going to be a threat, and they're not where they are in the league by mistake. The league table doesn't lie, as they say, unless you're Egerton and you've played 10 more games than everyone else. Anything else to cover, lads? Have we done it? Any news to the women's team?
They've got their first game of the year this Sunday against Boltonians. So yeah, hopefully some big things there. They've just got a new coach called Simon as well, and I believe they've got a new goalkeeper.
Oh wow!
Productive close season for us over Christmas.
Yeah, hopefully. They've been playing really well, to be fair to them. They've been doing really good. It's their debut season. It's a big mix of girls from a variety of different places and teams. So it's never easy. You know, we've seen it with the men's team over the years when you bring in sort of clusters of new players, getting people to mix and sort of gel and play one way when they're used to playing another way and vice versa. I think they've been doing really well.
Well, I've got a good news story we can share. Isaac, former Paddock player, scoring in the FA Cup in one of the biggest shocks of all time. How incredible was that? Lewis, I guess you've been filming him for years, right?
Actually, when he was here was before I was filming. It was back when I was doing the analysis stuff. So it would have been what 2021, early 22. So it was just before I was filming. I think back then it would have been either a guy called Greg or Adam Patterson that was filming for Paddock back then. So it's just before me, just before. I've met him before. He's come to our awards evening, not the one gone, the one before. I think he gave the award to Callum, didn't he, for top goal scorer. He's come to training once or twice. But I've never actually filmed him in a Paddock shirt.
So for anyone that's not aware, Isaac Buckley-Ricketts played for Paddock 4 or 5 years ago now, and he's played for Macclesfield of the non-league North, I think they are, so Step 2 or Division 6, if you want to call it, in the FA Cup on BBC One at the weekend, and then scored the winner as they beat Crystal Palace, who are the FA Cup holders in the third round of the FA Cup. So I think they're saying it's the biggest shock of all time. It's like the biggest gap between standings in the league of all time.
Yeah, I'd say it is off the top of my head. I can't remember one as big as that.
No, fair play, Isaac. He's come a very long way. Go on then, Stu. You've been dying to say it.
I've been dying to say it on your behalf, man. As some of you may well know, we haven't really put any news out about this recently, so it might come as a bit of a shock. But thank you to everybody who supported the Paddock podcast in the recent Non-League Bible Best Non-League Podcast Award. Because, drum roll please, Paddock Podcast won the award, the finals. So what a fantastic way to start 2026, Chris.
Obviously, the competition was insane.
Yeah.
Second place was York City. And third place was like Forest Green, who are in the Football League. Don't ask how they could be in a non-league award category. But yeah, we're really, really humbled to win the award. Obviously, we've only been doing this for a year, so it's a big achievement. And I just couldn't bring myself to introduce us as an award-winning podcast in the intro today, and we're just too cringe. But we are, and we're very happy about that. And I just want to thank everybody who voted, listeners, fans of the club, players, officials. I know lots of you got involved to support that. But yeah, to win a national non-league award as a Step 8 team is pretty much unheard of. So yeah, thank you again for that. And also a shout out for St Helens Town as well. I know they were nominated for the best printed programme and they finished 9th in their category. So that's no mean feat either. So congratulations to them for getting a nomination. I think it's really cool that the 2 clubs from the league got nominated for a national award, and really good for the region. And positive sign that amateur football is thriving. We've got some good content out there.
Yeah, your lads should be really proud of that. I didn't realise you'd beat the likes of someone like Forest Green and whatnot. But to be recognised that way, you should be really, really proud of that. You're doing a great job. And I think this podcast, sort of giving a voice to the fans, it's not a fan base like any other football club out there. It's surreal even to me. I remember that when we first went to Ireland with the pre-season game, and we saw like hundreds of people come to watch us play in a park. I remember turning to Stu and going, "Fucking hell, it's real, isn't it?" Like it doesn't, we get so, like working for the club especially, you get so just sort of tunnel vision on just getting to the next game. You kind of forget how big that sort of community of fans is, especially with us, with the reach that we have, over in America and across Europe and across the world and Ireland. And you kind of forget. So you guys giving, being a tool for the fans' voice in a sense and allowing people to sort of get that perspective through this show. I think that's really special. And I don't think that's something that we from inside the club could ever replicate. I think it has to come from you, the fans. So I think that's something you should really, really, really be proud of.
I think the maddest one I ever saw was Steve did one of his videos at the World Cup in Qatar, and he was in a stadium. I think he was with Rio or something, and he was doing a match day vlog. And like 3 rows down from where he was sat, there was a Paddock shirt in the stadium in Qatar.
No, I mean I've helped Janine out with shipping shirts before, and the amount that some of the addresses that I have to put on the boxes, I go, wow, really? Like that far?
There's 42 cities that this podcast that it's been going for less than a year. 42 cities, isn't it, Chris, that we've so far clocked up around the world.
47 countries, mate.
Sorry, 47 countries. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And I hope with the way that non-league is growing, that other clubs find a way to be inspired to do things like this as well. Because we don't need less of this. We need to support each other. And other clubs have just as big or bigger fan bases, even at this level. There's other clubs that have a bigger history and could be doing something similar. I think we'll see a rise in podcasts even at this level over the coming year or two. And all we can do is obviously encourage each other to do those sorts of things for each other, for your fans, for clubs, for the divisions, for trying to raise awareness of the fantastic football and communities that you have around these leagues, because it's something that we all need to be proud of. So if you're ever thinking about getting a podcast going, Chris will tell you that it's hard work. He does the lion's share of the work for this podcast to operate, and but it's worth it.
Yeah, and I'd add to that and say there's definitely a market for it. It still blows my mind, like where we get downloads from. And obviously that's the global aspect of the Paddock, but we know that we get players, officials, coaches, supporters of other teams throughout, the Northwest Cheshire League, Northwest counties listening in just to see if, their teams get a shout out or just get a bit of information. So fans of amateur football are reading everybody's match day programs. They're following everybody's club on socials and they're listening to podcasts. So more content like this because people will lap it up.
Absolutely. And I think you guys have proven that anyone can do it. Any football club, anything out there. If you as a fan base or a club want it, you can do it. And it again goes back to my original point earlier in the show. If you want to do it, just do it. Just try your best.
Not sure how I feel about that. Lewis said, if we can do it, anyone can do it, Stu.
That's not how I mean it.
I'm taking it personally.
Yeah.
What I mean, you've got no budget, you've got no equipment, and you're smashing it and you've just won an award, right? So you've proven that you don't need crazy budgets and fancy cameras to make a good show.
Is that Lewis saying that we should be asking for budget from the club, Chris?
There's no budget at the club. Let's hit that nail on the head as well. The amount of games I'm at, I'm like, oh, you guys are wadded, or you've got so much money, or how much do you get paid? I'm like, one, do you walk up to anyone in any job and ask how much do you get paid? Two, I don't. on a match day. And 3, we're not wadded. People think just because we've got XYZ amount of Instagram followers, we're cash rich. We're like every other football club at this level. You know what I mean? Like, money's tight.
No, I don't believe you, Lewis. We're going to get Saul back on next time. Sorry, mate. All right, let's wrap it up then, guys. Again, thank you to everyone that voted for the award-winning Stretford Paddock Fans podcast. There we go. I've said it.
Hey.
Thanks to everybody for listening. And of course, thanks to Stu and Lewis for joining us. Stu, anything to say before we go?
Nothing more to add other than, like you've said, thank you so much for the support with the podcast awards, and hopefully we can support each other moving forward. Up the Paddock.
Lewis, anything to add?
Just keep doing what you're doing, lads. Love it, and just keep going with it. A quick shout out to a few people from me. Just again on touching on, we're a huge team of volunteers on the media side of Paddock, and there's so many people that give up so much of their time to the club just for the media alone. I can't list off everyone. I'd be here for but anyone that's ever worked with us, whether you've come down to one game or just helped out online or whatever, just a huge thank you. Liam as well, big thank you to Liam and the live streams. Without Liam's expertise with all that, we wouldn't have lives. Jody as well. Jody does all the amateurs games. You ever see the amateurs being updating their game in live, on their Twitter? You have a goal update or anything like that? That's all Jody. I can't make it to amateurs games. That's all Jody. And Katie and Molly as well helped me a lot with the women's team. And my fiance Karenza as well helps me out with media across the board. There's loads of other people as well that would be here for ages, but big thank you to everyone that's ever helped out.
Perfect. Let's wrap it up then, guys. It is goodbye from Stu.
Goodbye, everyone. Up the Paddock.
It's goodbye from Lewis.
See you later.
And it's goodbye from me. Up the Paddock.